Hi, I'm Jim.
And I'm Jeff.
Thanks for listening to the Stanching Tyranny Hour. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and pull up a chair while we start the march toward liberty.
That doesn't make sense. How does one march while in a chair?
Good question. You can figure it out. You're the engineer.
Well, stay tuned and we'll let you know on 1450 AM WPG.
Good morning, everybody.
Here we are again.
Glad you could make it on this beautiful Saturday. It's raining out, but that's all right.
That's all right.
Spring is right around the corner, don't forget.
Yeah.
Right around the corner.
That's what Phil said.
That's what he said.
He's never wrong.
So we're glad you could be here while I'm thinking of it, so I do not forget. Please join us on Monday, 6 to 10. 4 hours of stanching tyranny, crotchety, complaining, anti-government rant.
Pusses.
Yeah. Holy moly, it's gonna be anarchy. But that is on Monday. We're guest hosting for Harry Hurley, and join us on Monday, and we'll have a lot of fun. Yeah, there'll be a lot to talk about. Yeah. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about what we're talking about today. A few things. Boy, there's some great progress being made in the world today, all affecting our freedoms and in this land of the free. So you heard about the gun control measures here in New Jersey?
Oh yeah, they passed assembly. What was it? 22 measures.
Yeah. Now we already
to keep us safe.
Yeah, and we already have I think second strictest gun regulations in the country, right behind California. And yeah. I guess we don't like being second, so I guess we're going to make them even more onerous here in New Jersey.
We always want to outdo California here in New
Jersey.
Yeah.
So do you know what exactly is covered? Because I'm sure they're reasonable regulations and whatnot.
Yeah, I have the list here. Let's see here. There's a lot of them. So.
You don't have to go through all of them, but what are the key, really good ones?
Private sales of firearms.
Okay.
Person to person.
Right.
Except for immediate family.
Okay.
They're allowed, but private sales will now have to do a background check.
Oh.
Unless you're former law enforcement.
Well, sure.
Then it's okay.
Right. Yeah, they would never do anything illegal or immoral.
Sure,
but so let me get this straight. Uh-huh. If you and I weren't brothers and you were my pal, even though you're my pal and you're my brother,
sure.
But let's forget the brother part. Let's just pretend you're my pal. And I had a gun, and I'm like, yeah, you want to buy my rifle there,
sure.
the hunting rifle?
Yeah, I'll give you $10.
Okay, and then so now I can just sell it to you, right?
As of now, yes.
As of today. Right. But with this rule, what do I have to do?
Well,
I have to do a background check.
You have to do a background check, so naturally that's on your dime or my dime, but you have to buy a background check from, the agency who does these sorts of things.
Even though you've been my pal all your life.
It don't matter. Okay. You have no credibility.
That's right, I don't. Yeah. That's I have to remember that. Right. Because I'm not a bureaucrat or a political class.
Not being a bureaucrat means you're not qualified to make such an important judgment.
Oh, that's okay. That makes sense.
You're not qualified.
Yeah, I am after all just a peon.
Right. Yeah. Right. So that's the first thing. The magazine limit. Right now, I think we're limited to 15 rounds in a magazine.
Okay.
They're gonna change that to 10 rounds.
10 rounds
per magazine. And don't worry, they're going to provide a 90-day grace period for you to dispose of your clips, your magazines that are too high. The
15
the high
round.
Capacity, what they'll now call high capacity magazines.
Yeah. So I can't just simply promise not to ever put more than 10 bullets in my 15.
No, if you have one that has high capacity, then you are guilty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't matter how many rounds are in it.
Sure.
It's just you're just
because
guilty.
obviously
if you have one, then clearly you intend to break the law.
Yeah, well, obviously, if I have 10-round magazine, I'm doing it for nothing. I have that because I'm a law-abiding citizen. Mm-hmm. But if I have anywhere from 11 to 15 or more, then I could only be up to no good, and therefore should be thrown in jail.
Yeah, and the assemblyman who's pushing that is either crying
Crying, definitely crying.
Or
He's that's all he does is cry,
it might
baby.
be that other guy. Starts with an L. I forget.
Yeah.
Lou something. Anyway, he keeps bringing up the Arizona thing with Gabby Giffords and the little girl that was shot.
Yeah.
And somehow they figured out that the little girl was killed with the 13th shot.
Oh.
So I guess they pulled the magazine before the guy went on his rampage. They marked every bullet somehow, and that one was number 13. And then they let him load it into the gun,
right,
and then go shoot.
Yeah.
And then he killed the little girl, and they found the bullet, and it said 13 on it.
Right.
And so had it been a 10-round magazine.
Yeah,
obviously that wouldn't have happened.
Sure.
Yeah,
because why. That would be the only circumstance that could happen.
Yeah.
So the only outcome of reducing the magazine size would be that she wouldn't have gotten shot.
Right.
That could be the only outcome.
And like the politicians like to say, if we can save just one life.
Yeah.
But guess what, Joe Crying? I didn't shoot anybody.
Right.
Jim here didn't shoot anybody.
Nope.
Our listeners out there didn't shoot anybody. Some nut in Arizona shot them.
Yeah.
So why is it that we are guilty when we didn't do the shooting?
Well, see
we're guilty by association.
Yeah. Well, see, this is the beauty of government taking advantage of a crisis, right? So here we are, right? We're supposed to believe that reasonable gun control efforts should be made.
Right.
While the fact is these gun control measures aren't going to make criminals less apt to use guns in their crimes, but it is going to make law-abiding gun owners criminals.
Right. And so that's the part that gets me.
Yeah.
Clearly the politicians understand that,
no.
right?
Well, they do understand
They know that that's true, right?
Well, yeah, they do know that it's true. They do understand it, but the fact is they really don't care because their object is to make sure that their slaves are well kept in line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's their objective.
Yeah, you think they all have stock in Corrections Corp of America?
Probably.
Yeah,
probably.
I bet
but,
they do.
Really, and we don't have to go through all those laws because I'm really not
There's
that worried.
24 of them. So.
I'm really not that worried about it because don't forget, we have uber conservative Republican pro Second Amendment.
Right.
Man, he's die-hard conservative. He says it like it is.
Right.
Chris Christie for governor.
He just spoke recently, and I think he said he's going to veto everything. Right? I think we have the sound for that.
He has a statement. Yeah, it's right there. That green screen.
That green screen there.
There he is. Okay.
Wow. Well, he really does.
Well, that about sums it up, doesn't it?
He really means it.
Yeah, because
he's not kidding around about this. He takes our rights seriously.
Right. Now, Chris Christie got a lot of Second Amendment, pro-Second Amendment NRA accolades back in 2010. Do you remember the case that Brian Aiken, he was moving from Colorado to here in New Jersey.
Right, and he was transporting a firearm.
He had 3 handguns in his trunk. They weren't loaded, but the ammo was also in his trunk, so surely he must be a terrorist.
Surely.
And so he got arrested and thrown in jail. And, really, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But he got arrested and thrown in jail, and he legally purchased the guns in Colorado.
Right.
But apparently, because of the way he transported them was illegal. So Governor Christie commuted his sentence. He was released from jail in 2010.
Okay.
So that was enough to put all the pro-Second Amendment people to sleep.
Right.
And basically ignore anything else that in Chris Christie's past that would show that, maybe he's not so pro Second Amendment as we think.
He did say this about these bills getting pushed through to the Senate and the Assembly. He released a statement and it said this: "I'm a little surprised at how quickly they've done it."
So his statement has nothing to do.
That's a strong statement. That's the guy that we elected, right? Tough
here,
talking. conservative Chris Christie who
Yeah.
tells it like it is, and he ain't afraid of nobody, right?
Right.
That guy.
Yeah. So notice how his statement has nothing to do with the issue itself.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
And why is that the case?
Well,
I'll
because
tell you why.
he wants he is treading very carefully.
Yeah.
And why? Well, because there's money involved.
Well, and he's pro-gun control.
And he's pro-gun control.
He's pro-gun control.
Sure.
So if just to look back on Chris Christie's history, if you look back into a book that was written by B. Engel and M. Simons, Rise to Power, Chris Christie's been pro-gun control for a darn long time.
Was this a book about Chris Christie?
I think it was about a bunch of people.
Okay.
If I remember right. So he did an interview in 2009 with Sean Hannity, and he said that he favors some of the gun control measures we have in New Jersey.
Right. Yeah.
That's what he said.
Well, I can hear it now. I'm all for responsible gun control.
Yeah. Well, this is what he said. We have a densely populated state, and there's a big handgun problem in New Jersey. On certain gun control issues, looking at it from a law enforcement perspective, seeing how many police officers were killed, we have an illegal gun problem in New Jersey. What I support are common sense laws that will allow people to protect themselves, but I am also very convinced about the safety of our police officers on the streets. Very concerned. And I want to make sure that we don't have an abundance of guns out there. So instead of reducing crime, he's making more crime. Right? By taking laws and passing them that will make it more illegal for law-abiding gun owners to follow the rules.
Yeah, and to defend themselves.
Yeah. So Chris Christie is no big old gun control Second Amendment advocate. Yeah. He's all for the police, of course, as you can see in these laws that were just passed by the Assembly. Policemen, retired and active, are all exempt.
Yeah, for the most part, from all these laws, the former law enforcement are exempt.
Yeah, so I would like to postulate, too, how big of a problem is police being shot in New Jersey?
Well, to hear Chris Christie, apparently it's epidemic.
Yeah, epidemic, according to him. Yeah. In reality, it really isn't that much.
Yeah, let's see what Carl has to say. Good morning, Carl.
Well, what I have to say about police officers being shot and killed, I remember one, I think up in Lakehurst or somewhere up there. I would venture to say we have more police officers killed by drunk illegal aliens, which I know there was one of them on Thanksgiving 2010, and he got bailed out and disappeared. But I don't see him. I don't see a big sweep of getting rid of the illegal aliens. Now the gun control thing. My favorite one, you touched on it. The illegal guns after this law was passed. Okay, so you have maybe a tube-fed gun that holds more ammo than you're allowed.
Right.
Who's going to come get them?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's going to come to your house and take them from you? That's a big question.
That is a big question. Yeah.
Yeah. The other one I like is, I guess people that have firearms IDs without the pictures, they're grandfathered, okay?
Right.
But people to get new ones, they're going to have photos on them. But it also, what confuses me, you'll have to have a purchaser's ID card and a permit to purchase a firearm. Now, that's been the case with pistols, but it's not saying just pistols.
Yeah.
So maybe you're going to have to get a separate fee for if you're not grandfathered. But then, who knows what that means? Maybe you'll say, you got any kids? No. You don't have any grandchildren? No. Well, you're not grandfathered. You're not a grandfather. I don't know. Maybe
there you go.
That. Right. And then maybe it'll be a grandmother comes in. Well, no, not you. It's grandfather, not grandmother.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I mean, who knows the fine print, what it means. I'm hoping that when it goes to the Senate, I hope this doesn't go through.
Yeah.
And like you said, with our governor, if it goes that far. But, because one thing you got to remember, it's election year.
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important. So for the people that are against it, I think you have to get a hold of your assembly people. And the other thing is, all these bills were sponsored by Democrats, every one of them. No Republicans.
Right.
Okay, so I think you have to kind of get a hold of these people and remind them they're due up for election, like the governor.
Yep.
And and let them know, hey, if you vote for this bill, guess what? I'm not voting for you.
Yeah, well, and that's true for governor. And if Chris Christie has eyes on 2016 presidentially, he better watch what he does because
nationwide, right?
Yeah.
Who was the last one who wanted to had presidential aspirations and spoke out in favor of gun control and never? There was one in recent history, and I forget who it is. Yeah. Yeah,
I remember who was it.
They disappeared. I have to do the research, but it has happened before.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's probably why the governor's treading lightly. I don't know how I can do that.
Yeah, well, but, if you go back in history, and look at some campaigns of his, he was actually supportive of the first Clinton's assault rifle ban back in the 90s. He was for it. In his campaign website in Chris Christie's campaign website back in 2009, he said that he not only supports New Jersey's strict gun laws, but ardently supported Bill Clinton's assault rifle ban. In fact, in a campaign ad in 1995, he actually attacked his opponents. Let's see, who were his opponents? Tony Bucco and Mike Carroll. I'm not real sure who they were. But there's a copy of this ad that was available back there, and it says, Tony Bucco and Mike Carroll want to repeal the ban on automatic assault weapons. It's dangerous, it's crazy, it's radical, they must be stopped. And paid for by the election of Chris Christie, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So
and they always say automatic when they're semi-automatic.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But they always say automatic.
And like I was saying before, Carl, now your 15-round magazine, guess what? Now it's a high-capacity magazine. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you could only have evil intent by owning that, Carl.
Right. Absolutely.
And listen to, what about our vice president?
Yeah.
Everybody, he has no problem when you have a double-barrel 12-gauge shotgun. Go out on your balcony and fire it in the air and scare the bad people away.
Yeah.
And then, let's say you thought somebody was out there and you went out with a double-barrel shotgun and fired it up in the air, and then the police come in and arrest you for firing your... Right, exactly.
Yeah. But
firing your shotgun in the air.
And by the way, Joe Biden, us peons don't have balconies.
Yeah,
we just have regular old houses.
Yeah, we might have a porch there, Joe. That's about it. All right, we don't have balconies.
Imagine if you did that and you hit like an eagle was flying overhead or something.
Yeah, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're really
life in prison.
Yeah, so we'll be watching Chris Christie. I'm going to be keeping a close eye. And yes, I've already contacted our assembly people. That helped, but and the Senate will be next with some letters and things like that. And we encourage everybody to do so. It's real easy to do these days.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you can even call Chris Christie at the 609-292-6000 and give him an earful.
Yep.
I know you will, Carl. That's why we love you. All right, good talking to you, too.
And I'm going to call you Monday also.
All right, great.
Okay.
Take care.
All right.
Take care, Carl. Yeah, so I hope we're not being set up for disappointment, but I feel like we're being set up for disappointment. Because
I just find it so odd that he said nothing. I mean,
and even if you look at that case with the young man that got arrested, the Brian Aiken fellow,
right, the guy from Colorado.
Yeah, couldn't that have been a case where we took a close look at our gun laws and made it so that some guy who's moving to New Jersey and just happens to get pulled over for whatever reason can't get thrown in jail?
Well, they didn't.
That's ridiculous.
They didn't do that. All they did was
was let him out of jail.
Commuted his sentence.
Yeah,
so,
that's my point.
Yeah, right. And so he still had to go through the expense of defending himself, right? And the stress. I mean, I can imagine the loss of income, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And the governor commuted his sentence, which he should have done. But the next step would have been to say, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and
we want people to come to our state. We don't want to shut them out.
Right.
And so we're going to get rid of this nonsense, and we're going to make it right so that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Now,
Chris Christie didn't do that.
Right. And I heard a radio interview by this fella, and it seemed like a very innocent stop. Apparently he got pulled over because of his Colorado tags, and they asked him to look in his trunk, and he was like, "Oh, I don't have anything to hide." He was thinking this to himself, and he said, "Yeah, go ahead." And they found the gun, threw him in jail, all that stuff. Whoever that policeman was should be ashamed of himself, and should resign. We have a responsibility here, people, policemen, everybody, that if a law or a regulation is onerous, you have an obligation to ignore it.
Yeah.
And we need to do that in juries.
Yes.
We need to do that all around. Mm-hmm. The reason why these politicians get away with this stuff is because we allow it.
Yeah.
We allow judges to tell us that we're only allowed to interpret whether or not a crime was committed based on the law that is in effect. Right. That's a lie.
Yeah, the judge is lying to you. That's not
the fact is, we as jurors have a responsibility to evaluate the merits of a law.
Yeah.
And say whether or not we think that law is valid.
And this is a perfect example. This young man violated no one's freedom.
Right.
He took no one's property.
Yep.
He interfered with no one's freedoms.
Yeah.
And he was arrested.
Now, I can't say for sure because I never get picked for a jury, oddly enough.
I know.
They ask me a bunch of questions, and by the time I'm done answering them, they seem to say I'm dismissed.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
So I don't have any direct experience, but I encourage people that are serving jury duty, use it as an opportunity to right some wrongs that exist here.
Right.
In New Jersey and throughout our great land.
And it's a real simple process. Here's how you evaluate a law. If the law that the defendant is being charged with breaking doesn't protect anyone's freedoms, then it shouldn't exist.
Correct.
And that law protects no one's freedoms because the guy was doing nothing but transporting.
Right.
That hurts no one.
Yeah.
He didn't commit a crime.
No. The only reason it was a crime is because of this onerous regulation.
Right.
And these onerous regulations need to be dealt with. And it's only us people that are going to deal with them. Mm-hmm. We need to work against that.
Yeah. Well, you can call Chris Christie's office at 609-292-6000. Give them an earful. Let them know that you expect them to protect our Second Amendment rights. We already have laws in New Jersey that are over the top as far as gun control.
They are. You can't even
They don't need to be more over the top.
You can't buy a BB gun at a sporting goods store. You can't buy a BB gun, for Pete's sake.
And Carl was alluding to the laws now. So you have your firearms purchaser ID, right? Mm-hmm. You have to get that. You have to pass a background check in order to get that.
Right.
All that allows you to do is buy what they call long guns, which is rifles and shotguns. All right? It doesn't allow you to buy handguns. For you to buy a handgun, you got to get a separate permit, which requires another background check.
Another set of fees, another
set of fees.
Background check.
And these background checks, they fingerprint you every digit of your hand and everything. So I don't see the point of these laws where they're making you have more background check requirements. Well, it's already very thorough.
Yeah, well, the thing is these politicians know that they can play on the emotions of these gun control people who don't even understand or even know what the process is.
Right.
Right? Because they've never done it. Why? Because they hate guns.
Right. Yeah.
But here's the simple fact. If you want to buy a handgun in New Jersey, it takes a lot of work. You can only buy one a month.
Right.
All right?
Yes.
You have 90 days to buy it. If I go to my chief of police where I live and I get the permit, right, which isn't easy, right? That takes a month and a half to even get the permit in the first place.
Basically, they redo the background check.
Every time.
They contact your employer.
Yep.
They contact your references. They
run
double-check the databases. Then they issue the handgun permit.
Yeah.
Then you have 90 days to purchase the handgun.
Right. Right.
And you can only buy one handgun with that.
Exactly.
Just one.
Yeah. Every time you buy a handgun, you got to go through that process again.
Right.
And you can't do it more than 3 times in a 90-day period.
Right.
So, how much more strict do our gun laws have to be? I mean, let's gun control people, why don't you just do what you want to do and say, let's confiscate the guns? Because, might as well do it that way.
All they've done is make it very inconvenient for law-abiding citizens to buy guns.
Right.
The criminals,
they're
getting their guns.
Yeah.
They're not going through all these jumping through these hoops. They're not doing it.
Yeah.
All they've done is make it harder for law-abiding citizens to get guns.
Right.
And so I have to ask, Governor, why? Why do you want to make it even harder for law-abiding citizens to get guns? I don't get it. Educate me, would you?
I wish he would. But let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we have our our fun little show,
Tyrannical Fun with National Worker ID.
Yeah,
all
that's going to be great.
Closing
statement by Chris Christie.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Stanching Tyranny Hour with Jim and Jeff Stanch on WPG 1450 AM.
The SunPower solar lease is a really popular way for people to go solar these days, and I can see why. You can go solar with no upfront costs and no payment until the system is up and running. Not only that, but that payment will never go up during the 20-year life of the lease, and it's really easy to get started. All you have to do is give us a call at 856-939-6652. A lot of people out there are using the solar lease, and they've eliminated their electric bill. They've replaced it with a fixed lease payment that will never go up, and they're getting additional income every year from the system. Give us a call to find out more, 856-939-6652. The SunPower Solar Lease. There's no easier way to go solar.
You're listening to the Stanching Tyranny Hour with Jim and Jeff Stanch on WPG 1450 AM.
Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, the solar lease is very, very popular these days. You can go solar with no money out of pocket. And what a great way to get independent from rising utility costs. We're up around the 20 cent per kilowatt hour mark now here in South Jersey, Atlantic Electric and PSE&G territory.
And when you consider that, it's like getting solar for free.
Yeah.
I mean, let me ask you this. If somebody today decides to go solar, how much do they got to give you?
0.
Okay. So they give you 0. They sign some paperwork.
Right.
We get all the permits. We get all the approvals.
Right.
We come out and install it.
Yeah.
Then how much do they give you?
0.
Okay. So they've given you so far a sum total of
0.
Okay. So it's installed now. It gets inspected. Utility company comes out, puts the new meter in.
Right.
And allows you to turn your new system on.
Right.
Now, how much do they pay?
All right. So then at that point, then you have to pay exactly 0.
Okay. That I knew there was a catch somewhere. There it is.
Yeah.
So far you've paid 0 up front.
Right.
0 when it's installed. 0 when it's turned on and making energy.
Right.
All right. So then about 45 days goes by, 45 days, you're going to get something in the mail.
Yeah, you're going to get a bill.
Okay.
You'll actually get two bills. One will be from the electric company.
And how much will that be?
$0.
Okay.
Well, might be $3, the meter fee.
Right.
But you'll also get your lease payment bill.
Which is the monthly lease payment that's fixed for 20 years.
Right.
So you've paid $0 for your solar system, and you've put yourself on a 20-year budget for electricity.
Correct.
That you're making off of your roof.
Yes.
It's a no-brainer.
And
with the utility costs at 20 cents a kilowatt hour, the lease payment's going to be about the same, probably even less.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah. But you're forgetting one thing.
I am forgetting one thing. So eventually, you're going to make your energy, right? It's going to go, time's going to go on, sun's going to shine, you're going to make your energy.
Yeah.
You're going to get something in the mail. Yeah. That's got to be the bill.
No, that's going to be a check. Yeah, you're going to get a check for that.
A check.
Yeah, they're going to pay you.
All right.
For that.
So you've paid $0.
Right.
You've replaced your electric bill with a lease payment.
Which
is the fix for 20 years.
Right.
So you're on a 20-year electric budget.
Sure.
And then you're going to get a check in the mail.
That's correct, yes.
So why wouldn't you do it?
I'm not real sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And here's the even better part. Mm-hmm. Unlike, poor Carl there, the last caller, who had to sit with Jim and Jeff and be bored with us in his kitchen for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We don't actually have to do home visits anymore because we've upgraded our technology. The internet is an amazing thing. Just like we can use aerial photography to measure your roof and come up with shading analysis and all those great things that we used to do in physical person. We can do all remotely by our computers, and then we can present everything to you by a webinar. Takes about 45 minutes, maybe longer, depending on how many questions you have. You can see if it makes sense to you, and then you can go from there. So really all it takes is a phone call to our office, 888-669-7337. Talk to Kevin or Lori. They'll set up a virtual appointment for the webinar with you. And we've made it really, really, really easy for you to go. I like to say,
nobody makes it easier to go solar than we do.
That would be correct. Yeah. And so we're glad to do it, and it's real easy to do. So check it out. Give our office a call at 888-669-7337. And we'll get that set up.
Okay. All right. So now that bill's paid, I just want to point out a couple more things on the gun control before we move on to Tyrannical Fun with National Worker ID.
Yeah. Well, we have to. Don't forget, we got to do the background on the National ID before we have our Tyrannical Fun.
I know. On the gun control.
Yeah.
So New York, they're mulling a law that would require gun owners to buy liability insurance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which would cost between $1,500 and $2,000 a year.
Okay.
And apparently they're not the only ones. There's like 6 other states that are mulling the same thing.
Great.
And, isn't that wonderful? And the insurance companies are lobbying hard for it.
Of course.
Because they want to keep us safe.
Well, that's why, Well, actually, if you think about it, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great idea.
Sure.
Well, because, you figure if you got a criminal, and let's say he's going to hold up a convenience store or maybe a pizza delivery man, he's going to give pause.
Right.
Because he's going to say, oh,
he's going to pull his insurance card out.
Did I pay that darn insurance bill? I better not.
I better check that
Let
first.
me see. Where's my shank? Maybe I should use that instead. Yeah. Or maybe I won't rob at all. I know. I'll go get a job at that convenience store instead.
And I'll be the best employee they ever had.
That's right. See? Look at all the great things that come out of gun control.
I know. We were all wrong about this.
We're just two crotchety old farts that,
grumpy.
Yeah. All right. So that's enough about the gun control.
Yeah. So let's have some Tyrannical
Well, we're not
fun
ready for the fun part. First, we have to actually have a little review.
Okay.
So I don't know how many people saw this, but there was an article in the Wall Street Journal this week.
Mm-hmm.
Senators in immigration talks mull IDs for all workers.
For all workers.
Yeah.
Oh, so not for the illegals.
No.
But this kind of sounds like gun control. let's inconvenience the law-abiding citizens and make them all guilty in the guise of protecting them.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
That's brilliant.
So, key senators are exploring an immigration bill that would force every U.S. worker, citizen or not, to carry a high-tech identity card that could use fingerprints or other personal markers to prove a person's eligibility to work.
So who are these key senators?
Oh, well, let me tell you. So first you have Chuck Schumer in New York.
There you go. There's no surprise.
And then there's our liberty-loving Senator Lindsey Graham.
Oh, I love Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, shut up and sit down.
Right, yeah.
And our favorite past presidential candidate, liberty-loving Senator John McCain.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, there's no reason to think that a guy that was shoved down in a hole for a couple of years don't have a couple of screws loose up there think that everybody he's looking at out here in the population has slanty eyes. You know? There's nothing like that going on there.
Yeah. So the Senate group in a statement guiding their work on the new law called for workers to prove their legal status and identities through a, quote, non-forgeable electronic means.
Non-forgeable. So, like, for instance, I can't forge my eyeball.
No, you can't.
You know, I'd have to, like, pull it out of my skull and give it to somebody
that knows all about eyeball creation.
Right, and I don't think we have the technology to do that yet.
Well, we probably do, but they would never tell us.
Well, right, because, we're not part of the elite that wants to preserve our organs so that we can live forever.
Correct.
But, you know, you get the idea.
Yeah, so Mr. Graham, Lindsey Graham, our favorite liberty-loving senator from South Carolina, Mr. Graham in an interview said that in his mind, the language refers to a requirement for biometric ID cards, quote, "This is the public's way of contributing to solving the problem of illegal immigration."
Oh, that's what it is. So,
you know, Lindsey,
you're not doing enough, people.
Yeah.
You have to contribute.
That's right. What's wrong with you, listeners?
Why do you have to be so selfish?
Why do you have to allow the illegal immigrants into our land, listeners? What's wrong with you people?
Yeah, you got to contribute.
You are out of control. You guys.
What's the matter with you?
You guys are just out of control, and you need a little biometric ID to make sure that you aren't letting in these illegals. Because it's you.
It is you.
It's you. It's you, Carl. It's you, Tony. It's you, Angela. It's you, Pat. It's all you. So, it's all you.
So there.
So, in 2010, Mr. Graham and Schumer offered an immigration plan that included a requirement for an ID card. You'll love this. Featuring either fingerprints or a scan of the veins in the top of a person's hand.
I love that. Scan of the... What?
Scan of the veins.
That. I got veins in the top of my hand there.
Apparently, everybody has very different veins.
Is that right?
And, they can just scan those.
Wow. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this sounds like a bipartisan bill.
It is.
Isn't that great?
It is. While you have Mr. Obama called for a fraud-resistant, tamper-resistant Social Security card.
Oh, perfect.
So, and also other senators are working on this bill along with Schumer and all that.
You know, I love bipartisanship.
Well, let me tell you who's working on it.
Yeah.
Well, we have stalwart, fiscal hawk, ultra-conservative future presidential candidate from Florida, Marco Rubio.
Oh yeah, he's the young blood.
Yeah,
he's going to bring the Republican Party.
He's going to bring
back.
That's right. That's right. And we have Michael Bennet, Democrat from Colorado, and somebody that's near and dear to our heart, Robert Menendez.
Oh, Robert Menendez. So he took a minute to, from his excursions, let's say, to do a little work.
Well, let me just say, it says here, Mr. Bennett, let's see, spokeswoman for Mr. Menendez said that the lawmaker has supported employee verification with anti-fraud measures as long as it's tied to legislation that will legalize prostitution with young Dominican women.
Oh.
Actually, I added that last part.
You were kidding around, weren't you? You silly.
The first part was true, but I had to add that last part.
He's probably got the hot salsa clause in there.
Yeah.
The bean burrito clause. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The bean burrito.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Uh-huh. So, aides to several senators in the group said that biometric cards would be used only for employment verification.
Oh, absolutely.
And that it wouldn't become a mechanism for linking other personal data.
No, they wouldn't do that. It's like the income tax.
Sure.
You know, that was only aimed at the
very
wealthy,
rich.
right?
Sure.
And it was temporary.
It was to fund the war.
It was to fund the war, and then that's it.
Then it's going to be abolished.
Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then there's the Social Security card, the Social Security number.
Right.
You know, that Social Security number is only like your little account number for your Social Security insurance account.
Right.
And it will never be used for identification purposes.
Never.
Yeah.
No, it won't ever. It says right on it, not for identification purposes.
Sure.
Because that's how serious the politicians are to make sure we have our freedom.
Yeah. So when they say that a federal worker ID will only be used for that and nothing else, I believe them.
I do too.
Yeah.
In fact, a high-tech ID card that could be scanned could solve the problem of illegal, unauthorized workers, said Manuel Cunha, Jr., president of the Nisai Farmers League in Fresno, California. The scan would check the employee against the federal database to confirm eligibility to work. Quote, I don't want on the biometric card when I went to the hospital or whether I am married, Mr. Cunha said. I just want to know Manuel F. Cunha can work.
Oh, that's great.
That's all.
Thank you, Manuel.
That's all. Well, frankly, I think that if you're going to do the biometric ID card, why not pull out all the stops?
Yeah.
So we need people to call in.
How about your ideas? We're going to have a little fun, a little tyrannical fun with National Worker ID.
Yeah, so give us a call at 609-407-1450. We want to hear your ideas for what kind of uses could be made with having a biometric ID card.
Let's have some fun with that, because know our leaders are going to have fun with it.
That's right. So let's prime the pump here, Jeff, and why don't you go right ahead, Boog, and start with your National ID card idea.
All right, I have a great idea. For the National ID, here's what we do. All right, you got this database of federal workers, and they have the ID, and they have probably a criminal record, you know, and they might have done a little DUI or something, right? And they go into a liquor store, Super Bowl weekend, they're going to buy a 6-pack and, be responsible about
30-pack.
it. Yeah, whatever. And maybe they're having some friends over. And, wait a minute. You got to present your federal national ID to buy booze.
Yeah.
And, wait a minute. You have a conviction. You can't buy that booze.
Yeah, because you have a DUI on your record.
You have a DUI. You can forget it, mister.
Yeah, you can't be buying no booze. No. I got one.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about Chris Christie. So Chris Christie goes to the Wegmans.
Right.
And he goes to the Wegmans and he gets a big old pack of mozzarella sticks, and he gets some
pizza rolls,
and he gets some pork rinds, and a big old bottle of Coke and Pepsi. Right? Yeah. And all kinds of fatty foods, and he gets some cakes and cookies. Right? And there he is standing at the checkout line, and instead of having the Wegmans Super Saver card by itself, why don't they just tie it to the national ID card?
And then next thing you know,
Chris Christie is ordering fatty foods.
You cannot buy this. You cannot make this purchase.
Yeah,
Please replace it with apples and carrots.
Right. Wouldn't that be great?
I like it. Why do we? Come on, people. Why do we need all these cards?
Yeah.
You got the BJ's card. You got the Sam's Club card.
People, let's be completely honest. Are you as sick of the cards as I am?
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, they want you to get one of these darn cards.
Auto Parts, they have a card. The Bottom Dollar, they got a card. CVS, they got a card. The Walgreens, they have a card. Lowe's, they have a card. Home Depot, a card. Card. Everywhere you look, there's a card. Make it convenient for people. That's all we want to do.
That's all we want to do is make it
convenient so you don't got to carry around but one card.
It's a service.
That's what we pay our leaders for.
Yeah, that's why we pay our taxes, so that we get these great services.
We have our first contestant on the phone. It's Tony from Pleasantville.
Hi, Tony.
Hey. I'm holding my ID up to the phone, guys. Identify myself. Can you see that it's really me calling?
It's coming. It's coming over the airways now. I see it. Yeah.
All right.
I see.
You know, you guys threw me off a little this morning. I heard the crickets there. That sound effect of crickets. I thought I had the station set wrong. I thought I was listening to that station to the left of you. You know, the one you had to lend your transmitter to.
Yeah, right.
On the air.
Right.
You know, they read you get your horoscope and the funny papers read to you every day. You know what I'm saying? But,
no, it was us. That was actually Chris Christie. That was a quote from Chris Christie.
Oh,
about gun control.
Here's the thing. You're talking about Christie. You know, if you're overweight like he is, if they see you buying chips and soda and candy bars and something, you have to get on a scale. And if you're over the weight limit, they have to put them back on the shelf.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
That's good. And then you can just exchange it for some celery and carrots and apples.
Sticks, you know.
Here's what you do,
Tony. Water or something, but. You really think Christie has presidential perspirations in 2016?
He's got a lot of perspiration.
He just spent a week out there in California with Zuckerberg, didn't he?
Yeah.
He seems to be spending more time out of the state than he is in the state there.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's starting to fall into that trap of reading his own copy or something.
Well,
he thinks he's a movie star.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, Tony, that one of the perks of being president, you get the whole cooking staff.
Right.
You know, they just do nothing but cook for you.
Did you see that?
Can you imagine how big he'll be when that happens?
They'd have to, the chef at the White House, he'd have a cot and a hot plate. He'd be on call 24 hours a day. The poor guy would never get no rest.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I have a prediction. So let's say Chris Christie gets in office in 2016, and let's say for the sake of argument, he doesn't run in 2020, and it's time for him to leave. Here's my prediction. It will be a scene right out of Who Ate Gilbert Grape.
Oh, yeah.
The wrecking ball opening the side of the White House so they could get Chris Christie out of there.
He could be our first president in a hover round.
Oh, my God. Oh, please. Oh, I hate those commercials, especially with that guy singing "My Holler Round takes me where I want to go." Cause I'm so fat I can't walk no more.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where we're headed.
Yeah.
But listen, I have to apologize to you guys. I wasn't able to call you the last couple of weeks. I guess you were wondering. I was up in that Russian space shuttle up in outer space there. We finally got done the research of the fruit flies in outer space, the sex research.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Anti-gravity. Yeah.
Well, don't you know, we got this Weisenheimer on the staff there, the research team.
Yeah.
He slipped in a transvestite fruit fly. He had a wig and a dress on.
Boy.
All over again.
Why do you have to do that?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I tried calling you guys, but they had a payphone on the research station, but it didn't take American money. It only took rubles.
That makes sense.
It took Russian rubles.
Sure, the Russians, they don't want our dollars.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, so, but, you know, you're talking about these gun laws, and I'm looking at one in particular. Did you guys see yesterday's paper?
Yeah.
With the 22 gun laws that the liberal Democrats want to pass?
Yeah, they're great.
Says, now listen to this one that sticks out the most. Allow the Attorney General to seize firearms in the possession of people deemed by a mental health professional to be a threat to themselves or others.
Yeah.
Now, you know what that means? You're going to get some balloon head therapist or something who probably leans to the left, and it's a liberal, and just think of several of the questions he can ask you. He can say, "Do you think President Obama's doing a great job?" No, he's doing he's doing a lousy job. Remember Benghazi? He should be impeached.
Right.
Click, you're done.
Done.
Yeah.
Get that man's guns. He's not. He's not the He's not a responsible gun owner.
Yeah, and with Obamacare coming, that's going to be even easier for them to do. Isn't that great?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they want to establish a 15-member task force to study the issues of school safety.
Right.
That's what we need.
Isn't that blue ribbon panel?
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
That's great. I love blue ribbon panel. They
Oh,
always
don't you?
work out so well.
See, the blue ribbon cuts through the red tape.
Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
what you need the blue ribbon for, to cut
Yeah,
through the
and
red tape.
that way we can bleed purple blood.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. Christie ain't very conservative as far as I'm concerned.
No.
I mean, I like the guy, but anymore his head's getting bigger than his stomach.
Right.
Yeah, and that's no easy task.
Yeah,
that's no easy task. Absolutely. I mean, but like Carl said, if Seth Grossman wants to be governor, he's got to go on Letterman.
Yeah,
he's going to have to go on Letterman
that's
and The View and hit all those shows too.
Yeah, he better get on it.
He better get on it. But hey, I'll be you guys going to be there Monday?
We'll be there Monday.
Yep.
We'll be waiting for your call, Tony.
Keep up. It's always good to talk. I haven't been able to talk to you guys. The phone got knocked out of whack or something. We had to get the phone guy over here. But
all right,
I'll try and have some fresh material for you
on
Monday, boys.
Excellent.
We appreciate
it. We'll talk to you then, Tony. Thank you.
I'll talk to you then. Have a good one.
You too.
Yeah. So yeah, with the national ID.
Yeah, Tony just gave me a great idea.
Did he?
Yeah. So you got your national ID, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no reason why you can't put a chip in that will transmit and also receive data.
Sure.
I mean, the technology exists. You can do that easily.
Yeah.
It goes in the card. You go out in the morning. You leave your house. You get in your car.
Right.
The car has a scale in it.
Sure.
Transmits the data to the card. It also takes your pulse, your respiration rate as you're driving to the supermarket to buy
your Doritos.
Then you get in the supermarket, you do your purchase, and guess what? You failed your health regimen of the morning, and so you don't get to buy your Doritos.
Yeah, because you figure all the readings were taken in your car.
Right.
Right? It knows your body mass index and all that stuff.
Sure, right.
So you can only buy the food that's considered applicable by the FDA
and
using the food pyramid.
Right.
As going to be okay.
You do want to save the taxpayers' money, right?
Well, sure I do.
On the health care bill, right? Because it's nationalized health care, and we all have a responsibility to save money, right?
Yeah.
And so why do you got to be so selfish and eat Doritos?
Right. You should be buying some beans and some nice lean chicken.
And I would recommend some sauerkraut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely some sauerkraut.
Right.
So you could tie your bank account to your national ID card.
Yeah, you don't need all these credit cards and ATM cards and this card and that card.
You could have your federal benefit deposited right into your national ID card.
Right.
Your Social Security, your government retirement account that's coming.
Yeah, your government retirement.
Your electronic benefits, the Family First and all that stuff.
We just want to make it convenient for you.
That's all we want to do, people.
And save costs.
Well, yeah.
We're trying to save costs here on, as a government, we have the responsibility to spend as little as possible.
Well, as a government, we have a responsibility to offer our constituents the very best services.
Yes, the best services.
Without spending too much money that cause an undue burden on the average American household.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So you could get rid of your cards and all that, and you could use it to pay instead of having a credit card. You just use your national ID card.
Yeah, and then if you say something or do something that they don't like, well, they just turn you off.
Right.
You can't work.
No.
You can't buy nothing.
Nope.
You can't sell nothing.
Nope.
Until you get in line.
Boy, that sounds an awful lot like something I read in a book once. It strikes me as being...
What was the name of that book?
Well, I can't remember, but it was an old book.
Yeah, an old book.
It was a really old book, and it had a whole lot of these and thous in it.
Right.
An old book, these and thous, Yeah, well, it'll come
anyway.
To me. Yeah. So we could make the cards. I got an idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So virtually everybody uses Google.
Sure.
So listeners, I don't know if you have ever noticed, but let's say you were on Google and you were in the market to buy a new television set.
Right.
And you did some Google searches on the Sony television set and this television set and that television set. The next thing you know, the next day, you're reading the news or whatever, and what do you know? You start seeing all these ads for television sets.
Every page you go to, you got an ad for a television.
It's television
What's
sets
up with that?
all over the place. It's the television sets.
Right.
Well, obviously, Google tracks the fact that you were searching for television sets and puts the appropriate ads. Why couldn't, of course, to offset costs.
Right, sure.
Why couldn't the government sell the data on these cards so that if you go into the Gap to buy a pair of jeans, the next thing you know, you're walking down the street and there's an electronic billboard and it's showing the latest fashions to you, right? Or maybe you're on your computer and you see some ads for jeans.
Right.
And what if the retailer could send you a coupon right to your card, so you won't have to get out the old scissors?
That would be great. I think we should tie the National Worker ID. We should tie it to our Facebook accounts, our Google accounts, our Yahoo, our AOL. Tie it all together, make it super convenient for everybody. And what a great place to live!
I know. I know. Wouldn't it be terrific?
Yeah.
And here's another one. So you're walking down the street, and there's a pervert walking down the street who comes through, and all of a sudden, you know that pervert's there,
right?
And so you know to stay away from the pervert because it's transmitting the pervert alert, right? It's just like Megan's Law, only on steroids.
Oh, we got plenty of ideas on this stuff, and that's just scratching the surface.
We'll have to keep working on it here in the land of the free, home of the brave. We'll see you next week. Don't forget, Monday.
Yeah,
stop by Monday, 6 to 10.